Hello friends, welcome to our channel. This story begins in the year 1987 when a man named Ramesh, originally from West Bengal, was working in the railway department. His job had taken him far away from his home, and for many months he lived alone, managing everything by himself. Slowly, the loneliness started affecting him, and he decided to bring his family to live with him so they could stay together. After his transfer, he moved to Delhi and started searching for a house where his wife and the small children could live comfortably. After many days of searching, he finally found a small house in Gandhinga. The rent was surprisingly low, which made it attractive, and the landlord asked for 2 months' advance, which Ramesh paid without much thought. Another reason that gave him confidence was that one of his relatives lived very close by, so he believed his family would be safe even when he was away for work. Everything seemed perfect at the beginning, and there was no reason to doubt anything. The house itself had a strange layout that felt a little different from normal homes. As soon as someone entered, there was a large open space with a few old beds placed under big trees, creating a quiet but slightly airy atmosphere. The landlord lived downstairs, while Ramesh and his family stayed in a room upstairs. There was a long corridor with 2 rooms, one of which was always locked. No one ever spoke about that room, and it remained closed all the time. In the first few days after moving in, Ramesh's wife started feeling uneasy. It was not something she could explain clearly, but it felt as if someone was always watching her. She tried to ignore this feeling, thinking it might just be stress from shifting to a new place and adjusting to a different city. But deep inside, the discomfort continued to grow. One evening, when Ramesh had gone out for work, his wife was sitting near the door cooking dinner. The main gate was slightly open, and a curtain was hanging there. While she was cooking, her eyes suddenly fell on the curtain, and she noticed a shadow moving across it. It clearly looked like someone had just walked past their room. Shocked, she immediately got up and rushed outside to check who it was, but there was no one there. The corridor was completely empty and silent. Then she felt something even stranger, as if someone had entered the locked room beside theirs. She slowly walked towards that room, her heart beating fast, but when she checked, the door was still locked exactly as before. That night, fear stayed with her. As she tried to sleep, she kept hearing soft footsteps in the corridor, slow and steady, as if someone was walking back and forth outside their room. The next day brought something even more disturbing. While she was downstairs washing clothes, her elder son suddenly started screaming loudly. When she rushed to him, he said something that froze her completely. He told her that he had just seen her sitting upstairs in the room, talking to someone. But that was impossible, because she was standing right there in front of him. Her heart filled with fear, and she ran back upstairs immediately. When she entered the room, she saw her younger child sitting alone on the bed, smiling and laughing, as if someone invisible was playing with him. There was no one else in the room, yet the child's expressions made it feel like he was not alone. At that moment, she realized that something was terribly wrong with that house. As days passed, the strange incidents became more intense and frightening. One afternoon, after finishing her work, she lay down beside her children and fell asleep. After some time, she suddenly felt someone slowly pulling the blanket away from her body. The movement was so real that she woke up immediately. But when she looked around, there was no one there. Her fear kept increasing, but what happened later that evening made things even worse. While she was preparing dinner, she heard a loud knock on the window. She walked towards it, but suddenly remembered that their room was on the first floor, and no one could reach that window from outside. Before she could react, a deep and angry growling sound came from the other side. The sound was not human, and it filled her with terror. She ran out of the room screaming. When they returned to the room, they saw their son crying uncontrollably. He kept saying that someone had come and tried to take them away. His fear was real, and it was clear that he had seen something terrifying. Even after all this, Ramesh tried to stay practical and ignored these incidents, thinking they might be imagination or fear. But soon, something happened that he could not ignore. One morning, While his wife was cooking, their son suddenly fell from the bed and started crying loudly, saying that someone had pushed him. At the same moment, his wife heard a whisper very close to her ear. It was a cold and threatening voice that said, "Leave this house or everyone will die." Terrified, she picked up her child and ran. But while going down the stairs, she felt a strong push from behind. She lost balance and fell, and the child got injured. That night, Ramesh experienced something himself that changed everything. He was alone in the room, sitting near the window and writing a letter. Suddenly, he heard knocking on the window. Thinking it might be a thief, he shouted loudly and hit the window to scare them away. The sound stopped, but after a few moments, the air around him felt heavy and strange. He felt as if someone was standing very close, watching him. Slowly, with fear building inside him, he walked towards the window and pulled the curtain aside. What he saw in that moment froze him completely. A young girl was standing outside, but she was not normal. Her eyes were wide and empty, her face looked lifeless, and she was floating in the air. She looked directly at him and said in a cold voice, "Leave this place or I will kill everyone." The fear was so intense that Ramesh immediately ran out of the room and locked it behind him. The next morning, without telling his family what he had seen, he made a firm decision. He went straight to the landlord and said that they would leave the house immediately. He did not care about the money or the advance anymore. After shifting to another place, they finally came to know the truth about that house. Years ago, the landlord had a young daughter who was in love with someone, but her family did not accept the relationship. In deep pain and helplessness, she ended her life in that same locked room upstairs. After her death, strange and terrifying incidents started happening in the house. Many families who stayed there experienced similar events, and some even faced serious accidents. Even today, people believe that a spirit still exists in that house, filled with anger and sadness. Some say she is warning people to leave, while others believe she is trapped and restless. The house still stands there, silent and empty, but the fear remains alive in the stories of those who experienced it. So the question remains, was it really a ghost or something beyond our understanding? Some mysteries are never solved, and some places are better left alone. If you enjoyed this horror story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life scary stories.